If you paid attention to your history lessons, you will know that the Eris Conventions were based on the ideas of a Capellan Chancellor. Of course, the only thing the modern Confederation gives about the conventions is a flying Welcome to our review of Dagger Point, a BattleTech novel written by ThomasSGressman. Edwin Amis, new commander of the Eridani Light Horse, faces a tough decision. Should he openly defy the First Lord of the Star League? Sun-Tzu Liao, the First Lord, has sent Star League troops as peacekeepers to the St. Ives Compact to prevent open rebellion by angry citizens. But they're not seeking peace. Amis knows the mission is only a guise for reclaiming territory for the Capellan Confederation, and he is ready to station counterforces on Milos, close to the heart of the Capellan capital. But on Milos, things are already escalating. Death Commando Shen Chao and his ruthless partner, Nessa Ament, have secretly murdered the dissident's family in cold blood. Now, in what could erupt into full-scale war, both forces are at each other's throats. What we have here is a story from the Capellan Ives War. Protagonists are the Eridani Light Horse, fresh after Task Force Serpent and now under the command of Edwin Amis. They are tasked by the Draconis Combine and Victor Steiner-Davian to go into the St. Ives Compact. More specific, to go on the planet Milos to counter the Capellan landgrab. Unfortunately for them, the Capellans are led by a team of Death Commando and Maskirovka agents. That these are ruthless and savage killers should go without saying. The population itself was whipped into a Capellan frenzy and is willing to fight for their new, old overlords. Not a good prospect for the Eridani Light Horse, who pride themselves in their restraint and their goal to always protect civilians. And things get even worse when a regiment of McCarron's armored cavalry makes planetfall. So far, I voiced some critique against the novels of Mr. Gressman, but here I will not. This is, in my opinion, a very good novel. It is an easy read, it is a very exciting story, and Mr. Gressman plays to his strength. Because there's really plenty of fighting in the book. He was always able to make conflict and the battles between the different forces interesting and readable, and here he can completely indulge himself. We not only see mech versus mech combat, but also the inclusion of infantry and armored forces beside those battle mechs. The heart of the book is the conflict of the Eridani Light Horse and their enemies from the Capellan Confederation. And the big question is, will the Eridani Light Horse compromise their beliefs to win the fight? The book starts a bit slow because, of course, we have to get our beloved mercenaries first onto the planet. And we can see how a warship blockade prevents the invasion at first. And even after they make planetfall, to win hearts and minds are not exactly easy. What I really like about the book is that Mr. Gressman put some thought into the world building. We get an explanation why there are peacekeepers on these planets. Because Sun-Tzu Liao made a covert campaign and fomented unrest on them. We get even an explanation how the Xinjiang movement was able to take root in former planets of a compact. Sun-Tzu simply dropped tons of economic aid and essentially bought the loyalty of the people. If it comes to the plot, the Capellans are now back to play their roles as villains, and they play it far better than the one as heroes. For example, in the Capellan solution, Sunny Liao is basically just pacing around on Xi'an, sniffing incense and working through his mommy issues. Not in this book. We can see how he is very ruthless, very driven, but also very methodical and planned in his actions. We can see how he condemns an officer to death because he made a mistaken judgment. Would such a fate be deserved? Given the events, not really, but we can completely understand why Sun-Tzu Liao made this decision. He is not a cliché villain who is twirling his mustache, but he is a very dangerous opponent, and that's how he can truly shine. And the same is also true for the real antagonists of a novel, the Death Commanders and the Maskirovka agent. At the beginning of the book, they come to the planet and immediately commit a very gruesome homicide against a dissident on the planet. Even deeper in the novel, they are not afraid to really play dirty. Lies, propaganda, terrorism, murder, they will use everything they have at their disposal to win. And this is what gives them truly character, what makes them believable. And it's really interesting to see it. On the other side, we have the Eridani Light Horse, who are, I have to say, absolutely shining heroes. If you want to give them an alignment, like in Dungeons & Dragons, they would be lawful good. They pride themselves that they always care for the civilians. They maintain every law and regulation that there is. They even care for their vanquished opponents. They are definitely, and without a doubt, the good guys. But because we have this constellation, there is a tension in this novel that truly keeps the plot going. You have the noble and bright and good Eridani Light Horse fighting a desperate struggle against an absolutely savage enemy. And you basically are on the tip of your toes and you want to see, will the Eridani Light Horse finally compromise on their ideas, their doctrines, their values? Or how will they, if they don't, how will they manage to save themselves at the end? And that's really an engaging story, and it really keeps you breathless. Gressman is also very willing to not sugarcoat anything. Some of the scenes and events are very graphic, and he really presents this idea very well, that there is a nasty and brutish guerrilla war going on this planet, and you truly start to ask yourself, are the Eridani Light Horse really capable to fight the war in a way to win it? Or are they just totally bound by their beliefs and the laws they followed? This moral question gives this novel a deeper level. Although I have to say, while reading it, I was wondering what a true hero of an original Star League would have said. Which thoughts would General Amos Furling, highly decorated hero of a reunification war, have had about this conflict? Well, it is my verdict that this is a very good and surprisingly deep book that is engaging to read and very well written. By far the best Gressman novel we had so far. Not only a very good BattleTech novel, but a good novel in general, and I would recommend it for everyone who enjoys a good read and can stomach some more unsavory aspects of guerrilla warfare.